All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Racine County Board meeting for Tuesday, July 28th at 6:30. I am Scott Meyer. I'm the Vice Chairman of the county, filling in for Chairman Kramer, who will be attending virtually. And the clerk could note the role of the other supervisors.
Supervisor Nielsen has been excused. Chairman Kramer will be joining us virtually. We will watch for him to come in. I believe Supervisor Varanth is on his way and maybe a little bit late. I'm not sure. That may be the same with Supervisor Kelly, and I believe everyone else is in the chambers.
All right, so welcome everyone here in the chambers and welcome everyone online. As customary to this body, we start the opening meeting with a prayer led by one of our supervisors, and tonight will be led by Supervisor Caprillion.
I would like to offer you a good evening as well. As we begin tonight's meeting, I invite you to join me in a moment of reflection, whether that means bowing your head, holding of your own beliefs close, or simply pausing with me. We gather as representatives of the community rich in a diverse faiths, background, and beliefs. In recent days, our hearts have been heavy as we've witnessed devastating loss across the world, our nation, and here in our own community. Just days ago, we celebrated Independence Day, a reminder of both our freedoms and our responsibility to care for one another, especially in times of crisis. As county supervisors, we each took an oath of office, a promise to serve faithfully and to work for the betterment of all who call Racine County home. Tonight, as we conduct the people's business, let us remember that oath and carry the weight of service with both humility and resolve. May we approach tonight's decisions with wisdom, compassion, and the courage to do what's right, even when it's difficult. May we also hold in our hearts those who are suffering and those who are grieving. If you choose to close with amen, please do so. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
Okay, item number 4 on the agenda is public comment period pursuant to section 271 of the Racine County Code of Ordinances. Each speaker shall be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes. That Supervisor Trotter here will be timing you. And you can speak on the topic that you provided, and we'll ask you to step forward in the order that they were received up here and state your name and your address and the topic that you wish to speak on. And I apologize if I make any mistakes on some of these words and the names, but the first one we have up tonight is Diane Lang. Welcome, Diane.
My name is Diane Lang. My address is 2908 Ruby Avenue in Racine. I am a member of the Racine Racial Justice Initiative, and I am the chair of the Social Justice Committee at Olympia Brown Unitarian Universalist Church in the city of Racine. I am so pleased to support this resolution before you tonight, 2025. It comes from the Executive Committee, and it is in regard to the May 7th, 2025 track and field incident. I'm so happy that it includes condemning individual acts of hate and prejudice, and it includes your commitment to upholding the dignity, respect, and rights for all individuals in Racine County. I come from a farming family in the Fox Valley area. Some of you who know me already knew that, but I wanted to bring this up tonight because many factors come together in order for crops to grow. Planting seeds is certainly a first step, but so is preparing the soil. This resolution before you is going to help to prepare the soil so that justice may thrive in our community and that the seeds of respect, humility, and fairness can grow. Please support this resolution. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have Jessica McPhail. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Jessica McPhail. I live at 3703 and a half Rio Vista in Caledonia. Thank you so much for taking up this resolution 2025-25 in support of a community that is inclusive and that encourages people to move here knowing that they'll feel welcomed. This is based on an incident that happened May 7th, and I also want to commend the Waterford High School Board for the work that they and the superintendent did to investigate this. I just want to highlight a couple of things. They interviewed over 40 students, staff, meet officials, and spectators. They reviewed written statements, video footage, communication logs, and supervisory notes. They consulted with the Milwaukee Public Schools, law enforcement, legal counsel, and third-party PR advisors. And what they found were 5 different types of hatred behavior: use of racial slurs and harmful stereotypes, mocking or mispronouncing student names, imitating gang signs, and calling athletes gangsters, specific racist remarks allegedly made by members of another athletic team, and derogatory behavior by WIAA-sanctioned officials. They want to put a stop to this. Your resolution will give them the support that they need when they're educating our students. So I hope to see all of you vote in favor of a community that says hatred has no place here. Because not voting for this, not voting in favor of this resolution, puts you on the side of accepting this kind of behavior. And I don't think we want that in our community. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have Tom Bueller. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you. My name is Tom Bueller. I live at 3695 Newman Road in Caledonia, and I'm here to speak in favor of resolution number 2025-25. As the previous speakers have pointed out, it was a very unfortunate behavior and events that took place. And as so often happens in this sort of situation, now we have a silver lining to that, which is that it gives the county board the opportunity to speak out against that kind of behavior and speak in favor of a kind of culture that I think we all want in our Racine County. So I refer especially to the portion that reads, Racine County remains committed to fostering a safe, welcoming, and respectful environment for all residents, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, ability, or background. I'm really happy to see that the supervisor representing my district, Jody Spencer's name is on this resolution. I'm happy to see that my friend Eric Hopkins' name is on this. My friend Bob Miller, Don Trottier, Melissa Caprellian, Tom Rutkowski, and my sometime golfing partner, QA Shakur, all signed on to this. And so I thank you. Thank you for stepping up and giving us all the opportunity to rally behind this positive statement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Marcia Bueller. Welcome, Marcia.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to address all of you. I come to you, I live at 3695 Newman Road in Caledonia with Tom. And I was here last year, last time we brought this up. I spoke in favor of this, and I understand some revisions have been made. So I'm here again to urge you to adopt this resolution. I spoke last time about how horrifying it was that this blatant racism occurred at a high school sporting event in our county, and the need for you, our county board, to be unequivocal in condemning it by unanimously adopting this resolution. Tonight, I'm going to ask you to consider the flip side of this incident. Let's imagine the Waterford track team had traveled to Rufus King for the meet and were greeted by Black athletes calling them names, insulting them and cursing at them. Let's imagine they were so frightened and intimidated that they got back on their bus and forfeited the meet. Now let's imagine the community response to that type of incident. I have no problem imagining what would be said about Black athletes who behaved like this. Thugs, punks, gangbangers, criminals, and of course, the N-word. In a word, those kids would be demonized. The white coaches probably would have called the cops, and it would shock no one if some of the Black kids had been arrested. There would be an outcry to the WIAA to ban the school from future sporting events. White people would be up in arms. We all know that. What there wouldn't be would be any hand-wringing about kids being kids or the need for restraint in handling the situation. And yet here we sit debating the merits of condemning this very behavior by white students in one of the most blatant examples of a double standard this community has ever witnessed. So I'm looking to each of you to do the right thing, to have the courage that Supervisor Caprellian spoke about in her opening prayer this evening, and vote in favor of this resolution. And I also want to thank my supervisor, Jody Spencer, for her integrity and joining with Supervisor Hopkins to put Racine on record that racism is not welcome or tolerated here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Walter Williams. Welcome, Walter.
Good evening, Walt Williams, 2220 Northwestern Avenue. I'm here wearing my NAACP hat. I am the president of the Racine branch. And a lot has already been said today regarding supporting issue 2025-25. The NAACP Racine is in support of that resolution. You talked about a collective voice of the community. You talk about planting a fertile seed in the soil. Later this summer, we will be hosting an event with Waterford School System, as well as Milwaukee School System, as well as Racine, to bring the students together to educate them, to enlighten them on differences between our students, their students, and just come together as a way of reinforcing the positiveness of our community. But we need your help. Today in front of you is a resolution that we ask that you support. We ask that you show the community that we stand together united in regards to stamping out hate in our community. You will help us do our job of bringing them together by elevating this issue, saying the community collectively have said, we do not want hate in our community. So help us do our job better by passing this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Mike Frontier.
Good evening, Mike Frontier, 1127 Lake. Thank you again for your courage in running. Melissa referred to that value. Imagine, I'm going to put a little graphic design here because I'm not too good at it. Let's write the word county, and under the O in county, imagine if you wrote Racine, and the N in Racine was under the O, and we put an E on the bottom. You'd have County Racine 1, which I think is part of what we're talking about tonight. I want to refer to Don Trottier. He spoke about 4th of July being his favorite holiday. and the preamble and the general welfare. I want to talk about our budget tonight. In 1976, Sister Brenda Walsh, Dominican sister, yes, and Bob knows Latin. Dominican means cane, hound of God. And don't they do that to us? They keep nudging us to a bigger picture. Thank God for those nuns, because I get pretty insular. I'm still a White Sox fan, that's all. That's 49 years ago. Sister Brenda held a town meeting. The number one issue, the interstate divide. And I like to think, sadly, that that's still a factor. And there's some things that might point to that. Right now in Racine, we're at 9.6 poverty rate. City of Racine is 50%. Kenosha has a 9.8 poverty rate. Kenosha spends $13 million less on public safety than we do. They spend 3 times the amount we spend on health and human services. That's welfare. They spend $450 a person. We spend $152. The state average is $357. Many years ago, we emasculated our social work services. Could there be any relationship between the lack of health and human services, which is the largest part of any county budget, and the fact we're spending $13 million more on public safety? I think it's time for us to work toward this vision of one county. The illusion that we're separate is false. As a Catholic, one of the most powerful concepts for me is mystical body, that we're all in this together. The illusion of separateness, that we can run 20 miles from somewhere and be separated from them, is a fallacy. We are all connected. And I want to thank the Dominican sisters for that insight and challenge all of us, me included, to move away from the efficiency of slashing to the passion of loving everyone in our county. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Paul Nutradrin. Welcome, Paul. Hope I got it close.
Not too bad. Paul Nectarline. 2025 LaSalle Street in Racine. I'm speaking to resolution 2025. I'm a pastor here in Racine, and I'd like to offer a faith perspective, not a religious perspective, since religion has so often been one of those things that divides us, and I want to talk about what unites us. I believe, in fact, that Jesus came not to start a new religion, but to simply show us a better way to be human. And that's what can unite us. Abraham Lincoln was quoting Jesus when he named the pervasive problem in our nation as being, quote, a house divided. And St. Paul's number one mission in the first century was to address the division between Jew and Gentile. So Paul writes that Jesus came as our peace, suffering the consequences of our dividedness when he was lynched on the cross, so that God could, quote, create one new humanity in place of two. And I submit to you that here in the 21st century, and for the past 500 years, to be honest, the number one power of division has been racism. White people thinking that they're superior to people of color. And so fighting racism has become the heart of my mission as a person of faith. Here's the thing, despite years and years of effort, racism still hides and operates in our systems and institutions. Then when we witness its ugliness at a high school track meet, it's clear how racism continues to wound and harm people and to diminish all of our lives. I have 2 African-American sons who experienced like treatment on a soccer field. After the initial hurt and feeling threatened, the anger set in as to why we have to keep dealing with this over and over and over again. And I hope that this resolution can be about channeling anger into action. We have to get the ball rolling once more in our efforts to fight racism. Racism is what divides us. If we can't even begin to name it, to call it out, and to be clear that we stand against it, then racism wins again. And we as a county will continue to be a house divided. I urge you to pass this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Sonali Kanat. Welcome.
Thank you. Sonali Knotek. I'm 3812 St. Clair Street in Racine. Like everyone else, I thank you for bringing this resolution to a vote this evening. That is Resolution 2025-25. I hope that it passes unanimously. The resolution clearly speaks to the need to condemn in the strongest possible terms acts of bigotry and racism. It also points out that the acts of a few individuals should not be viewed as reflective of the entire community. I hope that you show by your vote today that this is the case. As leaders of the community, it is up to you to set an example and chart the course for this community. Your vote today and your actions that follow will speak volumes about the value held by the county board and the kind of community the board envisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Marilyn Mandernack. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Marilyn Mandernack, 3711 Fence Line Road, Caledonia. And I too thank you for the opportunity to give we the public a chance to let you know how we feel about this resolution that we would like for you to pass, 2025-25. As a concerned, aware, and actively voting citizen of Racine County, I am disgusted that racism, the problem that we all are still dealing with, is alive and well in many of our county's schools. For personally motivated racism to manifest itself as publicly demeaning and disrespectful behavior clearly illustrates the depth of prejudice in our local society. And I guess I'm wondering why there's even a question that these actions are wrong. Why does it seem hard to hold accountable those that think it's fun to dehumanize another person? Who are we trying to protect? I see this resolution as an affirmation by you, the County Board of Supervisors, that racially motivated injustices suffered by Racine County residents and their visitors are an affront to the entire community. It is a commitment by the board to recognize that racist attitudes and actions diminish the dignity and humanity of people of color in our communities. And you, the Board of Supervisors, will not tolerate such behavior. That's my hope. And it's my hope that the board will be vigilant and proactive in addressing grievances with the gravity and rigor required. Finally, my hope is that passing this resolution will be the start toward meaningful, lasting impacts. And I thank you again.
Thank you. Next up, we have Kelly Scroggins. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Scroggins. My address is 2501 Jean Avenue here in Racine County. Thank you all for holding this meeting and allowing us the opportunity to speak. As some of the other people, I was here at the last attempt, or what we thought would be the reading of another resolution. And so today I rise not in anger, because oftentimes situations like this are viewed as emotionalism, they're viewed as divisiveness, But I'm not rising today in anger. I'm rising today in righteous frustration on behalf of every student, every parent, and every community member who is tired of watching truth be tabled, pain be politicized, and racism be softened with vague language. These are not individual acts. These are not broad assumptions. So let me be clear, what happened at that track meet was not an isolated incident. It was not a misunderstanding. And to reduce credible reports from current students at Waterford Union High School and members of the Rufus King team to reduce them to assumptions, it's not only dismissive, but it is dishonest. And for this board to suggest that we need to respond, that responding swiftly to racism might somehow be emotional. There's been conversation about what responsible leadership looks like. It's been stated that it requires patience. That's an insult. What's irresponsible is ignoring the emotional and psychological trauma inflicted on children and pretending like taking a public stance is somehow divisive. It is not divisive to condemn racism. It is not emotionalism to defend dignity. It is moral, it is right. It is the job you were elected to do. You represent a diverse county, a county that includes students who are being harmed, not hypothetically, but in real time. And yet here we are watching meeting after meeting, resolution after resolution being softened, diluted, and delayed to make them more palatable for the culprits and the offenders. This is not leadership, this is complicity. You speak of fairness, but fairness to who? The culprits, the institutions that have allowed this to happen. What about the victims? What about the students? What about truth? There are not two sides to this story. There's one side. When it comes to racial slurs and hate speech directed at youth, there is only right and wrong. And if we can't agree on that, then we have a much bigger problem. We are living in the 21st century in America, in Wisconsin, in Racine, a city that has already been ranked as the second worst place in the country for African Americans to live. You would think that our county supervisors would be chomping at the bit to make a strong, unified, and public stance against racism. Instead, we've witnessed delay after delay, deliberation after deliberation, resolutions being tabled, reconsidered, watered down. For what?
30 seconds.
Not to upset the status quo. We should not have to beg for justice. We shouldn't have to fill a room. We shouldn't have to call, email, or campaign for basic human dignity to be acknowledged. Please vote for this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Roseanne Mason. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Roseanne Mason. I live at 4403 Happy Hollow Lane in Mount Pleasant. I want to speak tonight in favor of passing resolution number 2025. Although this resolution speaks to the May 7th incident, it is important to know that this was not a one-time occurrence. In the early 2000s, when I was facilitating diversity circles on dismantling racism with students from Burlington, Case, Horlick, Park, Union Grove, and Waterford High Schools, sometimes just in this building, students talked of similar incidents happening all the time. This resolution that you are considering tonight is a good beginning to acknowledge that racism indeed exists in Racine County. It is written that this resolution is a call to reject all forms of discrimination while upholding the principles of fairness, justice, and unity. Although my hope is that this resolution passes tonight, there is no fairness when a team is so harassed that they have to leave the event and forfeit the game, which could actually encourage discriminatory treatment to happen again, as there is a benefit to having a team forfeit a game. Unless there is accountability, there is no justice. For real change to happen, for unity to become a reality, it must be acknowledged that although there were individuals who committed these hateful acts, These acts do in fact reflect on the character of our community. Why would a teen want to come back to a community where there is a possibility that they would be subject to the same harassment, knowing that the only result will be more calls for fairness, justice, and unity without accountability? The resolution that you are hopefully passing tonight is similar to statements that were made to the students I worked with years ago. History repeats itself because no one is held accountable. Thank you for having the courage to acknowledge the problem of racism in Racine County so that others aren't afraid to come to our community. Thank you for your concern about how these hateful acts reflect on our community. Please vote to pass Resolution 2025.
Thank you. That concludes the list that I had of people signed up wishing to speak. Is there anybody else wishing to speak? Anyone else wishing to speak about any particular topic? All right, thank you for your comments. Next up, we have our foster care presentation. Jessica, welcome.
My name is Jess. Hello. I work for Racine County Foster Care. And after hearing everybody's comments tonight, I want to present an opportunity to make Racine one. Because foster care has been a passion of mine for probably my entire life, to be quite honest. And it's something that I do because I feel we're responsible for our community. We're responsible for each other. And we teach love, patience, tolerance, acceptance to each other, through each other. And so we'll kind of go through how do we do that in Child Protective Services? What does that look like? How do we support our community to become a stronger one? Bye. So within my role at the county, I recruit, I retain, I provide support, I train, I put together events, and I work on placements. So I wear multiple hats. I'm kind of the point person to help navigate what foster care is, in the hopes that when new applicants come to me, they're not lost in that web of Child Protective Services going, okay, so I turned an application in, and now what? I'll use Melissa as an example. I got her application today. She received a response back, hey, here's your link to start training. And so we'll go from there. As she carries on through this journey of foster care, I'm sort of the main human that's going to help. When kids come into her home, I'll be calling to say, hey, now that your world has turned upside down, how do I support you and navigate you in this new sort of world you enter into? Because what foster care is a grassroots therapeutic view on how to help our community. It's intended to be temporary. And it's something that I've taken pride in saying I work for our county because we use a trauma-informed, strength-based approach to work with our families on the front end of things. We don't want to have to remove kids. But if we do have to remove kids, what we're hoping is that is for a short duration of time. We do this by having enough resources within our own community to support our families. We talk about inclusivity and being supportive. And inclusivity and support isn't just working with everybody, but it's providing that education component to help our foster parents know that this isn't just taking the kid in and saying best of luck. Kids don't enter into foster care because of themselves. They enter into foster care because of the adults in their lives. And so when I say we're responsible for one another, what I mean by that is foster parents step into this role of co-parenting and supporting the bio parents that have had a trauma occur in their life that has led them now to have us interfere. And so we want to have our foster parents know you are the first person maybe showing up or your neighbor saying, I value you as a human and I want to see you succeed. We can only do that within our community. And we can only do that if we have resources available to do that. So our goal is reunification. And what we hope by doing this is that we strengthen our community as a whole. Because if I have my children removed and placed into Melissa's house, and she values me as a human worthy enough to receive that grace to receive my kids back, but I know now that I have a support person, so I'm not lost in this world, then I've become stronger. I've become stronger within my neighborhood, my community, and I have resources so that these things don't happen again. This is also very cost effective, right? We talk about budget things. If we help one another, we reduce certain costs that come along with what we commonly complain about, the ills of society. Next slide. So, how do kids even interface with us? What does foster care look like in Racine County? Well, our youth and family division is broken into multiple units. And so all calls of abuse or neglect come through our access unit. They are the first stop. So if you are a mandated reporter or you suspect that a child has been abused or neglected, you call our access line and they're going to ask you a bunch of questions. Those questions generate a report. That call is either screened in or screened out. Screened out calls don't disappear. So if somebody called and said, hey, Jess beats their kids, then that would become a file with my name that has that report in it. Screened in calls mean that it has risen to a statutory level that requires that we now go out and do an investigation, which moves us to our next unit, which is initial assessment. So our initial assessment workers are those frontline case managers who are going out and meeting families at their worst. But like I said, I'm proud to say that we use a trauma-informed, strength-based approach because when we go out, we're asking our families, hey, we're here because something bad happened, but who are your supports? What is it that you're doing within your home? And how can we help you, utilize your supports to keep your kids at home? Does that always happen? No. And that's why foster care or kinship care becomes that next line of defense. If it is determined that children have to be removed, we do look for family first. Family First was an act that came out in 2018, but then was later codified in October of 2021 federally that said we are required as a child protective service placing agency to look for family. And so when kids come into care, we're asking that family, hey, before they go live with a stranger, who do you have that we can explore to place your kids with? If it's 3 a.m, parents are unavailable, I'm getting a phone call and I'm calling my foster parents. But that means the next day we're back in the office figuring out that family's web and who can we leverage to come to the rescue of these children. Regardless if it's foster or kinship care, those people have to be licensed. And so they're going to interface with me anyway. They're going to receive support. They're going to receive benefits, and they're going to have somebody help them through this journey now that is child welfare. When kids do enter into that another person's home, whether that's foster or kinship care, then an ongoing case manager is going to take over the role of that case and work with you to complete, hopefully, reunification. So they're kind of like the head of the octopus with all the moving arms. They're telling you about court dates, utilizing all of the resources, providing referrals to things, helping you navigate school, helping set up visits, all of that sort of thing is their role. Next slide. Here's some data that I was told is not correct. but I'm off by only a few numbers, but things are sometimes slow in getting to me. So as of today, there is 145 kids in care. Those numbers do fluctuate because kids come in, kids go home. But this is what our homes look like. So when you become a foster parent, you do receive a level of licensure, and there are different types of licensing. So as you can see on the screen, we have general foster homes. Those are people such as yourselves that said, hey, I want to help my community. You start off as a level 2 home. I have 29 of those. Then we have child-specific homes. So those relatives who have become licensed or those neighbors who know those kids who took those kids in, those are child-specific homes. They are licensed specifically for kids in their home that they took in. We have 18 of those. And I have 3 respite homes. Respite homes are folks that provide support to all of those other people. So respite care is something that is a benefit to foster parents. We know that raising kids is difficult. We know that raising traumatized children can be even more so. And so as parents, we encourage you to take that break. Hey, Jess, next weekend, I need 3 days just to become an adult again. Wonderful. I will call one of those 3 people and say, will you please take this child for those days so that this person can do this? This is another built-in support. Those people are helping. See, kindness begets kindness begets kindness. Support, support, support equals growth and positivity for our community. Then we have treatment level homes. These are folks that have specialized skills that say, hey, I am stepping up in this space and I want to take in harder children who might have physical disabilities or intellectual disabilities. Perhaps something has precipitated the need for extra therapy. And so those folks have specialized skills. I have 21 of those homes. And then our court-ordered kinship providers are those grandmas or uncles or aunts who we called and said, hey, your relatives in care, will you take them? Sure. And so they've started that process of going through licensure. And so we've got 22 of those. However, this is how the numbers shake out, friends. If I get a phone call, I've only got 50 total homes that I could call and place kids into. What happens if I don't have a home? Well, in Racine County, we have 1 shelter. There are 8 beds there. So if I don't have that resource and I don't have a home, then we sit in our office and that child sits with us and we entertain them. Well, we call all over the state of Wisconsin. As you can imagine, this is significantly detrimental. Not only was I just removed from a parent, my home, the smells and familiarity of everything, and I have to go to a stranger, but now I have to go someplace even farther away from my home. I don't know those people. That's terrifying. And so I want to rally and have more homes here so that if they have to experience the trauma of being removed, they can at least stay in a community that is familiar to them. Next slide, please. So what does this look like? Because everybody afterwards is going to talk to me and take an application home, right? Yeah. You start with an inquiry. You are here. You're listening to an info session. I'm providing you information on what this looks like. Your next step would be to turn in an application. I do have plenty of those. And those packets sitting in front of you, supervisors, are the said packet. Melissa, you do not have to complete that since you already did that today. Thanks, A+ gold star to you. After you turn that in, then I pass that to a licensing specialist. That person's going to contact you and set up a visit to come to your home. During that visit, they're going to ask you to walk through your home. They're going to talk to you about your interest and your level of care that you might want to provide for kids. And then I send you a link to start training. So this is also old data because we just changed this. The state of Wisconsin just released new curriculum, woohoo! And starting in August, that will be rolling out for all of us to participate in. The link though I sent you is current and up to date. So that starts our training. It's 6 hours online. And then we have 30 hours of classroom stuff. And it goes through a whole bunch of complexities that is foster care to help provide you the tools and resources necessary to be able to navigate this difficult work that I'm asking you please to do. As you complete pre-placement training, the hope is that you're doing that in tandem with your licensing specialist who is going over required state and county paperwork. They're completing a series of interviews with yourself, your household. If you have adult children, we ask them what their view is on this. References, we ask you to provide those so that we know, are you have a support system? Are there people who are also supporting you in doing this work? Or if not, they'll at least show up and provide you dinner, right? Like, I don't want to take a kid, but I'll give you a meal tonight. We collect all this data and we compile it into what is called a home study. That home study is then signed and approved, and then I can call you for a placement. Next. So what are the benefits? Because this is a tough job. Click again, bam. So your benefits are you receive a monthly stipend as a foster parent. That is based on a base rate for age, and then exceptional and supplemental payments. And that's calculated by a case manager who is meeting and speaking with you about what are the needs of this child. Your monthly stipend may increase, it may decrease, but it will never go below the base rate of a kid's age because people don't age in reverse. Kids come on board with medical, dental, and vision. You are required, just as your own children, to take them to the doctor, dentist, therapist, etc., optometrist, but you will not incur any cost for that. Kids coming into care sometimes have nothing. Like I gave the 3 a.m. example. Perhaps there was a car accident, parents are unresponsive. I've got 3 kids in the back seat. What do I do? They're wearing pajamas that don't fit them in one sock. You are going to go out and buy clothing. You're going to send me those receipts itemized. Here are the clothing items. We submit those and you receive those back to you as well. There are, again, age brackets for total allowances, but we'll get into those nuances once we meet and start licensing. There is a childcare subsidy, so we help support you. So oftentimes I get people that say, what do I do for childcare? And I say, here are all these places that will work with you. Call them, see if they're open to accepting new placements or holding a spot for you. And then through licensing, you're going to complete this child care subsidy application. Once that child comes into your home, then we finish that application and hopefully, fingers crossed, everything goes well, that benefit starts to apply and it covers a portion of your child care cost. If you take small children into your home, so between the ages of 0 and 5, you're eligible for WIC, which is Women, Infant, and Children's. That it is a nutrition program that helps with like formula and other nutritious food. There is the Foster Parent Liability Insurance Program. This is through the state of Wisconsin, DCF, to help you in case an accident might occur in your home. For example, you're playing Wii, the controller slips out of your foster child's hand into your TV, and now you need to go buy a new one. You say, hey, Jess, over the weekend this occurred. I say, okay, friend, we complete some paperwork. I send it to the state, and they pay that out quarterly. Respite care, I briefly mentioned, but again, bears repeating. Raising children is hard, and so we ask you to acknowledge that so you don't have compassion fatigue and burnout, utilize respite. Please call me, say I need a break, and we will help organize that for you as well. And then there are tons and tons and tons of support. So I work with a huge variety of community resources. I'm also the type of person who doesn't really like to be told no or I don't know, because I don't believe I don't know is an answer. So I will go and seek out things to help you in ensuring your success as a parent. I do a lot of education with our foster parents on this. It takes a village, and I've been fortunate enough that a lot of our foster parents already had this mentality upon meeting me. And so they really live and breathe this it takes a village and are connecting one-on-one already to help support one another. From a lot of our peer-to-peer support, a lot of respite is set up internally. They're doing it themselves. They're having siblings that connect with one another. Other foster parents are doing more like play groups and such things so that they don't feel alone. It does truly take a community, and so getting to know other people that is doing this work is very important. I always believe that if you feel as if you are an island, then something has gone awry, and it will probably lead to not such good outcomes because we can't do this thing alone. Next. Types of foster involvement, go ahead and click next, thanks. 1, 2, and 3. 1, again, are those relatives. 2 are you, general community members. And 3 are those folks that have specialized skills, doctors, lawyers, teachers, that sort of thing, nurses, etc. Or you have extensive knowledge of something specific to caring for kids. Perhaps you are well-versed in tube feeding and know how to handle medical devices. Great. I get to know a lot of information about you, and I get to make recommendations as to where I think you should be. So that you know, level-wise. Next. Child-specific, respite, and short-term are what exactly they sound like, child-specific. If you knew of somebody in care and you wanted to be that resource, we'd direct you to the case manager who would refer to us, and we'd license you specifically for those little people. Respite, again, you go through this just to provide support to other foster parents. It's at you know, this is entirely voluntary. So if ever I call and you're like, not this weekend, you don't get blacklisted. I will call you again, probably more than you want me to. And I know for sure some of you get my emails, so you know I do that pretty well too. And at this point, might have me on a block list, just kidding. But I do reach out continually, and it's an ongoing conversation. It has to be. And then short term, sometimes people say, hey, if you need that 3 a.m. call, I'm up in the middle of the night anyway, I will take them, call me. I have one of those people that I know is always up. So I can call them and they will take placements regardless. They don't even ask questions. She's like, sure, it's fine. So that works. But I only have one of those. So if you are night owls and want to help, I would appreciate more. Next. Requirements. 21 and older, you have to have a place to live and a room for a child to go. You have to be willing to and want to pass a background check, be financially stable, and want to go through this process, which can be intrusive. We ask you a lot of questions about who you are, your past life experiences, your traumas, your education, why you want to do this, why do you let me come in your home and ask you all these questions? Because of liability. You are a stranger willing to take strangers into your home. And so in being trauma informed, I have to know that I'm not going to re-victimize anybody. If something isn't discussed in licensing and perhaps a child comes into care and I don't know this part of their history, they come into your home and now you feel victimized, I've destroyed 2 people and I don't want to do that. Next. So what are other ways to help where you're like, wow, this is really hard and I don't know if I really feel comfortable doing this? There are tons of ways in which you can help. Most passively would be to like our Facebook page and share that information out. If you're a pastor or you go to a church or you're part of a group or anything, school, Tupperware party, whatever, I'll come. I'll bring Panera, I'll bring bagels and coffee, and we'll have a conversation about foster care. Racine County Foster Closet was created by 2 of our foster parents. That helps support new placements and ongoing. So we know kids grow, right? They saw a need over COVID, said it wasn't being filled, and said, hey, we'll do this. So they accept donations. They also look for volunteers to help organize their space and do donation drops. And then we have Caring Connections, which helps with collecting tangible items for our relatives. So as you can imagine, I'm sitting here talking to you. You have time to prep if you want to become a foster parent. You're getting the room ready. You know, you've got all the things required. A grandma who at 3 a.m. gets her grandkids was not prepared. And so I asked Caring Connections to put bags together of those things necessary to help ensure that their home will meet licensing codes, as well as gift cards and other things like bedding or beds, things to help ensure that those kids can stay there. If you own a business and afterwards are like, hey, how else can I help? Throw a party for our foster families, do a foster only event, have them come bowl or have them come fish or have them go to the movies, whatever that looks like. And then we also work on the front and back end with an organization called Safe Families, another voluntary program that does a lot of what we do, but there isn't formal CPS involvement. However, families like our foster families who might need additional supports, utilize them to continue to have, you know, another adult to help them, perhaps with transportation or just a shoulder to lean on for support. Next. Pause. So the black screen is a movie I'm going to let you watch because in 2023, we received a grant that allowed us to work with a social justice marketing agency called Ignite Change. And what we did was created this campaign that was transparent and honest, because that's the only way I feel we can be as humans, to acknowledge that foster care is hard, right? This won't be easy, but do it anyway, because we have a call to action. We are required to help one another. And so we took 5 families and made mini documentaries of their stories of their life. And this is the verdicts. So without further ado, you may play this.
Emotionally, it is hard. I mean, it's hard on the dog sometimes because he's an old dog and there's a baby up in his face and stuff. So we didn't think we were so far out from the toddler years, but we're far out from the toddler years, and you go right back into those years, and it's a lot. So nobody's getting out of it without any trauma, right? But I think it's a lot less than what it could be had you not been there to help.
I'll get cut on here.
My name is John Burdick. This is my lovely wife, Megan Burdick. We have 2 kids of our own, and then we also have 1 foster son.
We are very much about supporting the community. So we're teachers, coaches. So we're very focused on the youth of Racine and the community of Racine and making it a better place.
More specifically, too, is we wanted to be that safe placement for a child when, you know, their life is in turmoil and they just need a spot to come to and can rely on being safe and taken care of. You could give them exactly what they need.
Also, I feel like it's evolved a little bit for me, like looking at it not so much as helping just the kid, but also like helping the parent, giving them that little extra shot, like everything's not lost, like you've got some time, go work on yourself and we'll be here watching your child until you get to that point. So, you know, there wouldn't be a need for foster care if it was just kids. It's the parents and it's something missing for them that puts the kids in foster care, right? So it is very eye-opening when you get into it and you do form relationships with the parents. You know, you see things from their lens that you might have never seen, and you kind of gain new perspective on just like how something that affects that parent that just doesn't affect us in that same way.
Extended learning is like who are you as students?
You kind of start to see some of the downfalls of whatever action happened. Why did that happen? And you want to try to solve that. You're going to end up hopefully reunifying that child with the mom, and helping the parent is an important piece to this rather than just focusing on the well-being of the kid.
You actually feel like, okay, I am really doing something helpful because this parent needs this. And I think the end goal really is to give that parent that opportunity to get better.
Bye, guys. I'll show you how. Bye, Daddy. He's trying to run.
Through the day-to-day operational stuff where we're working together to make this family move and operate, we often make comments, you know, I feel like so-and-so is really starting to adjust a little bit and getting better, and, you know, whether it's behaviorally or socially, you know, with our kids, how are they getting along with them?
I would say that it is kind of just little moments where it's like, oh, we just had a really good like family night. We went for a walk and that was good, and we sat at the table and ate dinner together the whole time and nobody was upset. So everybody's happy. We're all just kind of having a good family night. Those are the times when it's like, all right, we got this, we can do this.
The reward that I get out of this is knowing that I'm making a direct impact on our community. And we already do it as teachers, right? So why not do it, you know, more full time?
I think when I hear that this won't be easy, I agree. Like people say, oh, I could never be a foster parent because I would get like too attached to the kids. It's like, yes, you definitely do. So, you know, in the end, I think it's very hard, but you just have to focus on what you're doing is helpful. It's not going to take away all the trauma and the bad stuff from the situation. You're not going to solve all the problems and be the perfect mom to every kid that comes through your house, but you're doing enough. You're helping enough to make some kind of difference. So I think it's definitely going to be hard, but it's worth it in the end to kind of to see that you made an impact in a kid's life, which is what we all want. This won't be easy. Do it anyway.
There are 4 other families you can check out on our YouTube, Facebook, website, etc. Questions, comments, concerns, or ponderings?
Supervisor Caprillion, questions?
Oh, Jessica, man, you are such a community healer and you coordinate so many others to also help with the healing process. And it's hard not to be emotionally impacted, not only by watching this, which is my second time watching this, but just by the work that is being done. And us as county supervisors to know this is a service. This is one of the things that we oversee and we should be supporting. And this goes along with even a talk of the resolution that'll come later on in the agenda. Is this about action? And I've pondered this for many years, and I am someone who was part of the foster care system. So I understand what it means to be able to have a caring environment when things are just not within your control. And at the time, there were things that hindered me. So if there's someone at home too, or that's in the audience that is watching this, and I always thought being of a one person, a single household, that you weren't able to be a foster parent. And I am wrong. You can be. And the help is definitely needed, whether you're a single parent or a single household or not. And I commend you bringing this information forward. Thank you. And I hope other people are encouraged and moved. And if you can't open up your home, there are other ways to support. And one other thing the county board should know, I was trying to desperately search because I thought it was 2 years in a row, but we did have a youth and governance group. One of their projects was back in 2022 was with the foster care, but was it 2 years or just the 1 year? Okay.
I know that one year I got a huge donation of bags and books and all sorts of things.
And that was 2022. So again, there are ways to give if it isn't your home, but maybe in some other ways. But so I'm hoping there's some encouragement and those numbers grow, because to move a child out of their familiar surroundings when they've already lost their familiar people, we would hate to pull them out of Racine County. Is there numbers on how many of our youth are in other counties or other places besides Racine, their home?
I think there is. I just would have to go and look again.
No worries, no worries. And I have asked before, and that tends to, you kind of brought it up, but I early saying that is what's going to happen when we don't have enough numbers, and that does happen.
Well, I can tell you from 2018, there were over 400 kids in care and over 100 of them were placed out of county. So when I took this role in 2019, it was like, hey, guess what, friend? You still got some work to do. But I think we were successful in bringing all at one point, but maybe 10 home. And those 10 were with like their permanent where they were going to stay. So I haven't looked recently, but I can and
That's
get you
okay.
those numbers.
Yeah, no, it just says, I mean, even to saying that's what's even happening, to even the smallest degree. Yeah, us as a community do need to step up. So, well, thank you, Jessica, once again.
Thanks for having me.
Jess, I got a couple of quick questions if no one else has any questions yet. What is the average age of the child that we're having in foster care right now?
I would say between 4 and 12.
4 and 12, okay. And with the foster parents that have been active in the program already, what is the longevity of the families that have been there? Are they in the program, once they get into the program, do they stay with it, do they continue on? Or are they in, sometimes it depends on their life situation, are they in there for a short window? And is it more, again, not to add on, but is it more than younger families, middle-aged families, older families who have the time or the resources to support them? And I suppose at different ages of their life where they're at, as well as where the ages of the children are at.
So you're here. This is weird. I want to answer you and also talk into the microphone. So we have, when I say we span the breadth of life, we really do. We have people who are very young with no kids to middle-aged families between 30 and 50 and have 5, 6 of their own children. And then later in life, people who are like, I don't have any grandkids yet, so what am I doing in life? I would say our longevity we have homes, I have been in this role for 6 years, and that batch that came on with us in 2019 has stayed. And so you do see longevity. I can say that since I've been here, though, we've had homes that after 30, 40, 50 years retired because they said, we're in our 70s and 80s, we'd like to be done now. But we still have, Lisa Hilldriver is one of our pillars of the community who's been doing this for 40 something years. So I think the batch of people that we have see that this has to be something that continues. And it's been encouraging that a lot of how we come to continue to grow is because they are going out and talking about it.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, Jessica, thank you for all the work that you do. Thank you for all the support that you give the children and the county, and continue the good job. Thank you. I'm sorry, Supervisor Capellion.
Thank you. I believe Jessica does have, for anybody in the audience, all the county supervisors do have the packets on the desk, but anybody who is here present, she does have extras available with her.
Thank you. Okay, item number 6, reading of the minutes of the previous meeting, which is automatically waived unless requested by a majority of the members present. Seeing none. Item number 7, resolutions and ordinances referred to committees.
There are none.
Item number 8, introduction of resolutions and ordinances for first reading and referral.
We have none listed on the agenda. However, I believe Supervisor Trotter.
Supervisor Trotter?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Earlier this evening, the FHR committee convened and approved Resolution 2025-26. I am requesting, in the absence of objection from the board, to have this first reading presented tonight and read by our county clerk.
Seeing none.
Resolution number 2025-26 by the Finance and Human Resources Committee authorizing a multi-year agreement with AE Business Solutions for Nutanix products and services in the total amount of $4,362,428.
All right. Item number 9, communications and claims.
Number 1, notice of entry in the National Register and/or State Register of Historic Places for the Root River Parks property along the Root River to the south of Spring Stand to the north of Washington Avenue, Racine County. Number 2, notice of Racine County Western Feed Project and map showing the final route ordered by the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin from ATC.
Item number 1 and 2 are referred to the Economic Development and Land Use Planning Committee.
Items number 3 through 8 are claims against the county or mortgage foreclosures. And then items 9 through 22 are notifications from the United States Bankruptcy Court.
Items number 3 through 22 are referred to the Finance and Human Resource Committee and Corporation Council.
All right, and requests for copies. Supervisor Horth.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'd request copies 1 and 2, please. Thank you.
Supervisor Wishaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like a copy of 1 through 5, please.
Supervisor Coleman. Supervisor Kolb.
Copies of 1 and 2.
Supervisor Spencer.
Copies of 1 and 2, please. Thanks.
Supervisor McReynolds.
Copies of 1 through 6, please.
Supervisor Trotter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Copies of number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7.
Supervisor Rossi.
Thank you, Chairman. 1 through 6.
Any other requests? All right. We will get them to you, folks. Item number 10, communications from the county executive.
There are none.
Item number 11, standing committee reports containing recommendations on items referred.
We have no reports.
Item number 12, second reading of resolutions and ordinances.
Under majority vote, we have resolution number 2025-21 by Public Works, Parks and Facilities Committee authorizing the submission of a Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources 2025 Boating Infrastructure Grant application and commitment of local matching funds up to $1.5 million. And resolution number 2025-25 by Executive Committee regarding a May 7th, 2025 track and field incident that occurred within Racine County and the county's commitment to inclusive and respectful school communities.
Adoption, Mr. Chairman, with separate consideration.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, so motion and seconded for the two resolutions, but separate consideration for each. So we'll start off with, and they are in order. We'll start off with resolution 2025-21. Supervisor Hopkins.
Okay, resolution 2025-21. It's a resolution authorizing Racine County to apply for and provide matching funds for the 2025 Boating Infrastructure Grant BIG program for the Reef Point Marina Community Pier Project. The Reef Point Marina proposes specifically enhance its transient boating facilities through the installation of a new community pier or ZDOC and additional transient-related infrastructure. The estimated total cost for the 2026 construction season related to dedicated transient usage is approximately $3 million, with Racine County providing 50% match and requesting remaining 50% from the BIG program. This resolution was unanimously approved by the Public Works Committee. Any questions can be directed towards Raleigh.
Any questions? All right, seeing none, this is a voice majority vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Resolution number 2025-25 was, we discussed it through the executive committee. As many of you may recall, this came out of the executive committee. We had a very thoughtful discussion, robust discussion, heartfelt discussion. And a lot of supervisors weighed in on their positions and their opinions on that, and we're thankful for that, to get everybody on board and let us know how everybody feels and where they think we should be going in regards to the county. So if there's any other questions or comments on that, we can take them up at this time. If not, we'll move for a vote. Supervisor Shakur.
Comments? Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to be brief and I'll get right to the point here. The price of progress is painful in many situations, especially when it comes to order and the community. To enhance and improve the soul of Racine County, the road that challenges us is one that changes us. Hard things test us to our limits as a county. Hard things teach us discipline as a county. Hard things teach us the direction and discipline as a county. Hard things build resilience in us as a county. It is imperative to pass resolution 2025-25. We must focus on the foundation of life, common sense, and humanity in general. From sea to shining sea, better yet, from all of wonderful Racine County, north to the south, west, and to the east of Lake Michigan. All of us, approximately 200,000, let's make Racine County the best place to live, work, and play on earth. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Trotter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a comment also. In regards to this resolution, my thoughts over the last months have determined that accountability for the actions that took place in Waterford have been acted upon by the proper entities. This would be the schools. That the county has always promoted a safe, inclusive, and equitable county. Last, may this resolution strengthen our commitment, the county's commitment, towards coming together, acting as one. Let us act strong. Let us be active. I will be voting yes for this resolution.
Thank you. Supervisor Coleman.
I just want to say thank you to the constituents for the emails. Thank you to the gallery for everybody that got up and spoke. We appreciate it. It was a yes for me on the first go around. It's a yes again, but we want to thank the community for weighing in because we do this for you guys. We serve y'all and we appreciate y'all for stepping up, standing up. Thank you for the comments. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Supervisor McReynolds.
I would also like to thank the public, the 11 public speakers tonight in support of Resolution 2025-25. With that being said, I would like to talk about why I will not be supporting this resolution. This incident that we're talking about did happen in my district. Waterford is a very, very great community with a lot of diverse events out there. But at the end of the day, a resolution is not going to solve the problem. If we as county supervisors want to help solve the problem, we need to get out, educate, get involved with our schools, and put the message out that it's not acceptable, the actions that did take place at that school. But again, at the end of the day, a resolution is not going to change what happened. Education can, and I don't believe that we should act through resolutions, and that is why I will be voting no.
Any other comments? Supervisor Kolb.
I just want to comment, and I don't know how many people have actually seen the results of the whole investigation. And I did reach out to Waukesha West, as it was one of their students that actually did make the comments. It was not a student from Waterford. And I got a plain statement from Waukesha West that I was really disappointed in. And I let them know with a reply email that I thought they owed Waterford an apology. That if your student says something like that on a Racine County school district, I think that they should have came forward with an apology to Waterford. We're sorry for our student. We're sorry for what happened. We're sorry for the embarrassment it caused you. I was very glad to see that Milwaukee, Washington actually did send a letter of support to Waterford School District. They were late to the track meet. Waterford did let them participate against WIA officials' recommendations. So there was a lot more to this whole track meet than what was put out publicly. I will support this, but I kind of hope that some of the people that spoke don't let Waukesha West off the hook, because they actually embarrassed one of our schools in our school districts. So please make sure you send the letters to some of the people that actually need some corrective actions at their school districts also.
Thank you. Supervisor Spencer.
Thank you. I have 2 pages, but I'll shorten it. I do want to thank everyone who came and spoke. Everything said was very meaningful to me. The rest of us can see that with this strong presence here, and I don't think they were asked to come by any of us. This means a lot to the community. These are people who are compassionate, and many of them that I know of are actively involved in this kind of work. They're fighting racism. They're already out there educating, and that's what this is. You were educated today. We're already doing that, yes. Written on this piece of paper, which seemed to be the issue 2 weeks ago or whenever that was, that a resolution is just a piece of paper, and I couldn't disagree more. This is a meaningful resolution that encompasses our regard for all people. It's important that we pass this as a statement against racism at a time in our country when too many Black and brown people are afraid to leave their homes. We can make this statement that we, Racine County, will work to correct the injustices that we can affect in whatever way, large or small. It's valuable to so many residents to know that we care about protecting the principles of fairness, justice, and unity, and that we condemn all forms of bigotry, hate, and racism. Since the incident, we've had many discussions, and most executive committee members have stated that they know we need to do the work. Tonight, we can formally commit to uphold the dignity, respect, and rights of all individuals in Racine County, as it says on this paper. I appreciate the work that's been done. Waterford's school district superintendent, the NAACP, and the investigators, Supervisor Hopkins for bringing this forth originally, Supervisor Miller, who created an S resolution that didn't get introduced, and Supervisor Wishaw, and the many others who recognized the need for this resolution. And very importantly, its follow-up commitment to the work. I do think we all know that it needs to be done. Our national standing for as one of the worst in the nation on racial issues confirms it, in case any have doubts, but there should be no doubt. Someone I'm close to had a bad experience with injustice at a school event way back in the 70s. He's in his 60s now, and that incident has stayed with him. It's a sore spot in his life that nearly 50 years later, he still feels. What happened here in Racine County at the Waterford Union High hosted WIAA track and field event is surely that kind of incident for the students who have had such a bad experience that they left. They're athletes who worked very hard to compete, and the investigation showed us that it was blatant racism that forced them out. This should never have occurred, and it needs to be recognized for what it is. It's behavior that needs to stop. People involved in creating the incident will probably have it remain in their long-time feelings too, but hopefully as a lesson learned. Shameful racist actions and good sportsmanship don't go together. I'm sure our collective hope is that all involved can heal after this experience. Respectfully, Racine County Board, please show us, put it on paper, and let's pass this resolution. Then let's get on with doing the work against racism and other forms of discrimination, injustices. Let's do work that fosters safety, fairness, and inclusion for all.
Any other comments? Supervisor Shakur,
I'd like to request a roll call vote, please.
roll call vote has been requested. Supervisor Hopkins.
So in light of the unfortunate occurrence at the May 7th track meet, the executive board passed a resolution, an important message that affirms the humanity, the human dignity of all community members, our constituents, people we serve. The resolution reflects a kind of leadership our constituents can have confidence in every time we meet as a legislative body. I urge my colleagues to pass the resolution. I believe it is an action. I believe it sends a message to constituents, community members. As reference to one of our presenters, our speakers, it is a seed that encourages further action and promotes and encourages further action. So I encourage my colleagues to sign yes, and I definitely thank the committee members for coming today, making their voices heard and felt. So thank you.
All right, any other comments? Supervisor Caprillion.
Thank you. So tonight, I heard during public comment that voting no makes you racist. Or wait, actually the actual statement was not voting for this puts you on the side of accepting this type of behavior. And I also heard that this resolution has merit, that it will be the start of a lasting impact, and statements about delays and dilution So these comments reveal a fundamental misunderstanding of what a resolution actually is. And now this is just maybe where wisdom comes in, or just the long time I've been sitting as an elected official, and I've seen so many resolutions come before us and that have passed. And I haven't seen many, if not 99.9% of them, ever to see light of day again. And a resolution is a formal statement of opinion. Look it up. There's a definition in a lot what we do for our youth and governance that it's stated. It is not, it's nothing more than that. It doesn't create policy. That's another tool that we have, but this is not it. It doesn't create policy. It does not allocate resources, which we have the power to do as county supervisors. It doesn't require anyone to do anything differently. And it has no enforcement mechanism. So that's what a resolution is. That's what's being asked of us. Yet we're treating this like legislation. I hear the comments. I've heard how it was presented, and it's just a misunderstanding. When you're sitting here, we understand the meaning of a resolution. So every single supervisor here, well, first let me say that being that it is not legislation, and they're treating it as if it solves racism. This does not solve racism. We're assigning power to this that it simply does not possess. So I hear you, Supervisor McReynolds. But let me be clear. We can all vote yes for this tonight. And many of us will, for sure, because we've assigned different meaning to this. And we have that ability to do so. But let's not confuse this with action, and let's not confuse this with the starting of healing. Otherwise, shame on us. This incident happened in May. And if this is the starting healing, shame on all of us who put our power in a resolution. Now, let me ask again, like I asked during the meeting of the executive committee, will this resolution change our minds on racism? No. Will it prevent the Nexus incident? No, it will not. And will it help those children who were hurt? No, it will not. And if you answer yes, shame on you. This happened in May. That means they've been hurting all this long, waiting for our resolution to pass here at Racine County Board. But will it make us feel better for being part of a solution? Well, absolutely it will. And this is my problem. I believe we can't settle for symbolic gestures when you're dealing with racism. And I said this last time to this county board. The kids who were hurt deserve real action, and not just words on paper that make us feel better. This is about them feeling better, people who are dealing with racism. This resolution is about us feeling better. This is, again, a thoughts and prayer governance, doing something that feels meaningful but has zero actual impact. Don't mistake a resolution for changeable action. Real action has measurable steps, it has timelines, it has accountability, and it looks like work, not words. So the kids who were hurt don't need our statements, they need our work. I am somebody of action. People who've known me long enough know my hands are in the soil and my words are followed with action. Just like our presentation earlier today with the foster care system, it's about people who just don't say that it needs to get done and need to be of help. They're people who actually are helping, right? I gave the example of when I was at the city and I had noticed trash piled up along the bike trails. I didn't ask the city to pass a resolution to give to the public directed at the Racine County Board, because it's a Racine County bike trails, saying clean up your trash. You know, you're causing harm to X, Y, and Z. Instead, I organized cleanup efforts that involved multiple entities, including Union Pacific, and hundreds of volunteers over a couple year period, doing it repeatedly over again. Again, that's action to solve something. So my problem with this resolution is people are giving it meaning that it just doesn't have. And I get it. You know, again, we are reacting to a horrible incident. And I get that. That's the heart of us. That's saying we all here have this genuine heart for injustice and wrongdoing. And that's beautiful. But don't misinterpret this as this is what's going to solve anything. It's really, we have different powers as a county board. And if we're putting it into this resolution, it's disillusional, and I think it's a disgrace, and I think we're actually causing more harm in the realm of racism. So that's my problem. I don't want to be behind something that's fluff because we've decided with our vocal words, or a couple people who public commented, are giving a different meaning to what a resolution is. I just don't think it aligns with the integrity of my authenticity. So this is a hard one, but again, we all can vote yes on this and define whatever meaning we put to it. So it's a tug of war. Do I just vote yes? Because yes, of course, I'm against racism, but I'm not against just inaction that us as a county board, if we're going to make a collective effort, we all maybe are doing it individually. I remember talking to the county executive a little bit during the interim between our meetings before, and there's already work being done. So, you know, I applaud that effort that he led a charge, but it's, you know, it's behind the doors. It's just for a public face again to make us feel good, like we're doing something about it. You know, again, that's my tug of war. So I'm not even sure how I'm going to vote. I am absolutely opposed to just doing something to feel good, but yet our hands aren't in the soil. Thank you.
Supervisor Coleman?
Thank you, Melissa, for your history about resolutions. Whatever it means to our constituents, who we serve, is all that matters. Okay? We're not saying that this is just a start, but now we can move into policies, procedures, not just for Racine, Waterford, Milwaukee. Could be statewide for everybody. Our position with this resolution is either we condemn or we condone racism. And that's where our constituents came in, and that's where they want to answer from us. So to just sit up there and say a resolution is just a piece of paper, no, it means more to that for our constituents, the people that we serve. So therefore, y'all can water it down, say what you want to say, put it how you want to put it. You're going to vote however you're going to vote. And guess what? The people that we serve are looking at us. And that's all that matters. So whatever we got to do to make our constituents feel at peace, we're going to do that because we serve them. So we're not just going to call it a piece of paper because it means more to that to the community. We need to stop with all these excuses and all this. Listen, it don't make no sense. Because if we were talking about we need money or a grant for this or we need to do that, we wouldn't have no problems. But now we're put in an uncomfortable situation with racism, and now it's time to speak up. So it's about, where do we stand? Do we condemn or do we condone? So we're not going to try to water down the resolution, because guess what? It means a lot to our constituents. And I'm going to just leave it there. Yes.
Supervisor Wish, I have a question.
No, call the question.
All right, John, can you set us up? We will first have to check in electronically. The first check-in you'll do will be checking in for attendance, and the second one will be checking in for the vote.
Jonathan, is Chairman Kramer on virtually? I did not see him come in. Okay, thank you for confirming. The vote is.
All right, no applause, please.
No applause.
Please, no applause.
Just a moment, we have to record this. Just a moment, I have to record this. Okay, now moving on to the resolutions requested for second reading under 2/3 majority vote. That would be resolution number 2025-22 by Finance and Human Resources Committee authorizing Racine County to make an investment of an additional $100,000 for the purpose of a loan to the Racine County Board of Drainage Commissioners to pay for the maintenance, repair, and operating functions required to satisfy the Farm Number 1 Waterford Drainage District specifications obligation under Wisconsin Administrative Code ATCP 48.20. Resolution number 2025-23 by Finance and Human Resources Committee authorizing Racine County to make an investment of up to $125,000 for the purpose of creating revolving loan fund for business and economic development purposes to assist small and micro business borrowers in Racine County. And resolution number 2025-24 by Finance and Human Resources Committee authorizing the settlement of the claim of Joseph Colosso.
Second.
All right, we have motion and made and seconded for resolutions 2025-22. We'll start with Supervisor Trotter, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In regards to Resolution 2025-22, I'm going to skip my summary, and that's because I have Mr. Alan Jasperson here, who is the chairman of the Racine County Board of Drainage Commission, to answer questions about this loan. And Mr. Jasperson and family members have been part of this drainage committee. I think he indicated for 6, 7 generations. So Mr. Jasperson, if you could take the podium along with, yes, sir, right there. And just give us a quick summary of the request. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chartier and Mr. Scott. I appreciate the chance to be in front of the board and request the $100,000 that we need to keep Farm District number 5 going for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. Everything is spelt out in our position. We looked at all of our financial details, and that's a district that's kind of unusual. It's a district that all the water goes into a tank and is pumped into the river. So we have kind of an unusual district there with a lot of suburban built up areas now. And it's kind of going away from farm drainage and more into urbanization. So we look forward to the next step and possibly having stormwater management in that Waterford area. But I sure appreciate and can confirm with you that we will have we owe you $200,000 coming next June 6th, and we will be prompt in that payment. And this additional $100,000 will get us through our 10-year assessment.
Thank you, Mr. Jasperson. I believe the Finance Committee and Human Resources support of this resolution when it came through my committee, and I'm 100% confident this will move forward per your request. But right now, any additional questions from Mr. Jasperson?
Mr. Chairman, no, this is a long-standing arrangement that the county has had with drainage commissions. And we're getting interest out of this. So this is not a gift. This is a loan with interest at 3.75%. So it's really a win-win.
Thank you, Supervisor Miller.
Supervisor Horth?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I've had the opportunity, because this is in my backyard, to spend some time regarding this topic. And just so the supervisors are aware, I was actually, it's hard to say this actually, but we just received some rather large increases in our sewer bills and our drainage district bills, which after I heard the explanation from the chairman of that commission, Dan Dickinson, I understood fully what was being done, and candidly, for the first time in a long time, actually had an appreciation for how well thought out their plan was to move this forward through capital expenditure needs and requirements as it relates to the whole district. And the fact that, yes, we had to pay for it. We probably should have been paying for it a long time ago. But the reality is, it was a scenario that when I saw it, when I read it and I understood it, it made sense to me and it was logical, and I appreciated that it had that level of detail put into it. So I'm in support of this discussion because I had some good background and understanding how it's been developed. So thank you for all your work and certainly for that of the group.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you, Mr. Jasperson.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you, sir. Next up, I have Resolution 2025-23. This involves a revolving loan fund for $125,000 to the Wisconsin Women's Business Initiative Cooperation, referred to as WIBIC, commencing approximately August 1 of 2025 and ending August 1 of 2035. This is a revolving loan fund of which interest is collected at 3.75%. This is a win-win-win. It's a women's small business program in the southeastern part of the state. And this again went through the Finance Committee at 100% support. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Supervisor Miller.
Sorry.
Thank you, Chairman Meyer. Just an addition, WIBIC does support for small business startups similar to Racine County Economic Development Corporation. So in that sense, they're good partners, but they're a big corporation that leverages federal and state money to create those startup funds for small business. But some of their unique attributes are that they have some really positive and successful training programs for new business startups. So it's really, if you look on their website, you'll see a large number of Racine County businesses throughout the county that have been helped by this. So as the Chairman Trottier of Finance said, it is a win-win-win.
Any other questions on Resolution 2025-23? All right, Supervisor Trotter?
And last but not least, 2025-24, in regards to the settlement of the claim of Joseph Colosso. Should you have any questions about this, please refer to our legal counsel.
All right, if there's no other questions, this is a 2/3 majority vote, so we will have to use our electronic devices. And since we are already checked in, this will be for the vote. Supervisor Coleman, you need to confirm. Thank you. And Supervisor Hopkins.
I think it
Always. Always happens.
Yeah, motion carries. All right, item number 13, reconsideration of resolutions and ordinances from previous meetings and or action on vetoes.
There are none.
Item number 14, reconsideration of and or notice of intent to reconsider resolutions and ordinances.
There is no notice.
Item number 15, informational reports.
There are none on tonight's agenda.
Item number 16, miscellaneous business announcements and oral reports.
I have a question.
You have a question?
Could I get the name of our youth and governance representative for the minutes, please? I'm sorry, one more time. Thank you.
Supervisor Spencer.
I'm just curious, I saw Jessica come in with something and I just thought that should be addressed.
Yep, Jessica did bring in coffee and bagels and some snacks for the supervisors after the meeting. They're back here in the back room. So if you have a moment to help yourself, please stop back there. I'm sure she'd appreciate it. And I do have one other Supervisor Caprillion. Did you have something?
Oh, yeah, it just seems it's been kind of a tradition when there is a youth and governance here. Not only so Wendy can state it for the record, but just to acknowledge Alejandro. And if you just want to come up and say what school you're from, Alejandro is a very active youth in our community, but serves on our finance committee. But if you are all okay, yeah.
How's it going? I'm Alejandro Interior. I'm an incoming junior at Case High School, and I'm on the Finance and Human Resources Committee.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here, Alejandro. That was it. And did you want to?
I just have one other item. Our very own Wendy Christensen got her Master County Clerk's certificate at the County Clerks Conference as of last week. So thank you and congratulations, Wendy. Very much. All right, other than that,
Just know that Jessica from the foster care did provide all of us with bagels and goodies and coffees. They're in the back, our supervisor place. So please take them home so we're not all left with them here. And thank you, Jessica.